In our next panel session, we're going to be talking about powering the potential of payments. We're going to look at, with our guest panelists, what is the true potential of payments, and is it just about making payments cheaper and faster, or is there something more to it than that? We're also going to talk about the regulations. That's always a topic in these matters, and we'll look at, are wallets fitting into this as well? There's quite a few factors to weave together. Our moderator for this session is Hugo Russo, and he joined Tech UK in March 2019. He's the program manager for their financial services and payments. Before that, he's worked a lot in public and private relations for different agencies, including the Economic and Financial Services team lead for the French Prime Minister's EU Affairs Department. Hugo, are you there, sir?
Hi, great to be with you, although not in person, but it's great to see you and great to be with you.
Nice to see you. Where are you coming to us from today? Where are you sitting?
Well, you can hear my French accent, but I'm based in London. It's a sunny day in London, mid-October, which is quite nice.
Okay, well, it's a bit of a grey day in Lithuania here, but we're happy to see the sun. Okay, sir, let's go with the first panel.
Welcoming and joining this session on payments. I am Hugo Russo, and I lead Tech UK's financial services program. And for those who don't know, Tech UK is a trade association which brings together people, companies, and organizations to realize the positive outcomes of what digital technology can achieve. We have about 800 members, majority of which are SMEs across the UK. And Tech UK creates a network for innovation, collaboration across business, government, and stakeholders to provide a better future for people, society, the economy, and of course, the planet, and which is a big topic at the moment we're focusing on with COP26 just a few weeks away. So if you want to connect after the event and want to discuss some of the things, don't hesitate to get in touch with me and colleagues at Tech UK. Before kicking off the panel discussion, let me thank the organizer for putting together such a strong panel together, and thank our speakers who will share with us some great insight into the industry, payments, and the future landscape. So today you'll hear from CEO, general managers, and founders from Transfergo, Sensidia, and Contis. We've got a really exciting panel, a very international panel, so apologies if I mispronounce some of the names. So without further ado, I will ask Domantas Vlinskas, CEO and co-founder at Transfergo, to give us a bit of background on thoughts and what has been the biggest sort of change to the company, and some background about the company, and perhaps some insight into the impact on the landscape that was brought by COVID-19. So, Domantas, it'd be great to hear about you, and if you can give us an overview about your company for about 5 minutes, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. My name is Domantas. I'm co-founder and CEO of Transfergo, and Transfergo is a payments company. We operate on international payments, cross-border transfers, and local payments. Today, Transfergo is 3.5 million clients, all in Europe, sending money to the rest of the globe. So we are a European send, global receive player on international money transfer play. And we are connecting Europe with an efficient cross-network local payment solution. So very much like Square Cash in US, we're solving a similar problem here in Europe. And the company is now 3.5 million customers, 7 offices, and we just recently raised our Series C of $50 million, which will enable us to scale and bring our payments to many, many European customers. And so we've lived through a pandemic, and we're still sort of coming out of it. But what we've seen was very interesting. What we've seen was that we had 3 distinct lockdowns in Europe. The first lockdown was March to April 2020. And during that lockdown, we saw something very interesting. We saw an unprecedented shift from cash remittances to digital for a very simple reason. People couldn't physically go to the Western Union kiosks anymore. And the thesis of how big cash still is in Europe came true when we saw this boom of digitization, when in the same period we saw 156% increase of organic traffic into the site versus the previous year. So that was the first lockdown. And in the same time, we also saw all the other payments pretty much stop. Discretionary payments stopped, peer-to-peer payments, they decreased, but the international money transfer payments, they actually continued, their frequency increased, and the tickets became a bit smaller. So customers were obviously afraid of the future. They weren't sure how long this will last. So they were rationing their payments to send abroad and provide for their friends and family, which they still had to do. So COVID was an interesting once-in-a-lifetime event, which was hugely scary for everybody. But if there is a silver lining, it digitized hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people in Europe much faster than our entire industry probably. And the good thing is that we see this digitization is lasting now. When people are gradually coming back, once people try digital, they don't want to come back to cash. So that's, if there is a silver lining, we saw that in our industry. And here, we're not the only ones. I hear similar story from our peers. So that's the COVID impact. And second and third lockdowns were a bit different, as people were less scared, but about what COVID will do to them or their health. But they're more scared about how long would their savings last, because many of them were on furlough schemes, many of them were on government support, and everyone's expecting maybe one lockdown. So second and third lockdown was a bit different. It was less of a panic, but the trend of rationing still continued. And so it's good to see that people have managed to come through and survive, and that now things are coming back to normal. But the new normal here is that much more digitized than it was before. And just to summarize this, there's always been this data points around European remittances and cash side of those remittances, even though key European send markets like the UK, Germany, Scandinavia, Poland are highly digitized. On the local payment side, the cross-border payments largely have been 50 to 60% on the side of cash for various reasons. Even though the customers were already mobile, they were already using cards. Somehow, Western Union was not hurting on their cash side, and now we actually see a very strong leap towards a much more digitized payments industry. So, yeah, that's in a nutshell what we've seen.
Thank you very much, Doman. That's indeed fascinating. And perhaps for those who don't necessarily know your company, in just a couple of minutes, could you just tell us like your USP at Transfergo? What sets you apart from other companies?
Yeah, so we're instant low cost provider. So we're able to settle within a matter of seconds in all our key markets, and we are obviously a low cost provider. So our pricing point is very competitive, and for years we've been the best rated money transfer app in Europe on independent review sites like Trustpilot. So we've been able to outcompete a much better funded competition with a fraction of the cost and win one market after another. So we are market leader for Eastern European, UK to Eastern Europe. We're market leader for Poland to Ukraine. We're market leader for Romania and other European corridors, and now growing fast in emerging markets such as Russia, CIS, Ukraine, and Turkey. So that's who we are.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Doman. That's a really, really useful insight into your company and also the change you've seen with regards to COVID-19. I'm sure we'll go back to that later on. Now I'll move on to our next speaker, Marcelo Oliveira, who's co-founder and CGO at Sensidia. Marcelo, could I ask you the same questions of a bit of intro and insight into your company and perhaps reflecting on some of the points that were raised with the impact of COVID-19 that was raised by Doman? That'd be great to hear from you, Marcelo, if in 5 minutes to hear about your company and what you've seen in the market as well. So the floor is yours, Marcelo.
Hi, everyone. It's a huge pleasure to share this panel with you guys, by the way. Yes, I'm a co-founder from Sensidia. I am in charge from growth in different regions. Sensidia is a solution provider from digital journey through the modern API platform connectivity. On the last years, we have helped the most relevant payment companies in the world in Latin America and now in Europe for turn themselves more digital and pluggable through digital and API journeys. Sensidia has offered the solution composed by the API management platform, the connective services, and professional services to help on this journey. I'm very enthusiastic about the position as a platform from payment companies. Talking about COVID, COVID placed the need for digital journey from everyone. So every journey from payment and different business are becoming 100% from digital journeys. Our mission from this context is to transform the companies to be more pluggable and ready to connect to deliver the services through APIs for digital journeys. For the last years, we lead very relevant digital payment projects, such WhatsApp Pay, the construction from ecosystem. We have helped companies to be more pluggable and ready to embed the payment solutions and services in different digital experience. I strongly believe that positioning as a digital platform, not just a payment provider, but a platform from payments, will make the difference between the success and failure, because the behavior has changed. It's not an option. Every new journey from the behavior from the consumers now are moving for 100% from digital journeys. So it's key to position the solution as a solution unpluggable. On this digital transformation buzzword, Sensidia position itself as a digital enabler from the companies, and for sure, the payment market is the key from the totally digital behavior. So now we have officers in 80 different countries. In Europe, we have officer in London, and we are working with different countries and different companies in Europe on the direction to be more digital and pluggable and relevant in digital journeys.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And perhaps I could go to the same question as Dementas. What would be your USP at Sensidia Macedonia in a nutshell in 1 minute? Could you let us? What's your USP?
We are focused in medium and enterprise companies from payments, banking, and insurance companies to help them to be more to transform the business for be more digital and pluggable. So we are focusing in enterprise and medium companies from payments, banking, and insurance companies.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And as you mentioned on Dementas as well, we've definitely seen consumers' habits change, and also the value of technology in terms of resilience and also offerings. And we'll explore that a bit later in the panel discussion. Now I'll move to our next speaker. And last but not least, we'll hear from Eridas Poudziunas, General Manager at Contis. Could I ask you the same question, a bit of more information about your company, your USP, and perhaps building on some of the reflection we've already had in terms of COVID-19, its impact on consumers' habits, but also the way companies adopt technology and get onto the digital transformation journey. So it'd be great to hear from you in about 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so hello, everyone, and thank you for having me here. My pleasure to share my ideas as well. So, Contis is an electronic money institution and also principal member of Visa and MasterCard, providing alternative banking and payment solutions for the current new economy, if that's the correct expression. And we are holding European-wide financial licenses and also award-winning banking as a service platform, which we believe is our USP, because the platform is very reliable. The last 5 years it was 99.99% uptime, so usually never down. It's very innovative. We have been winning innovation awards in the payment industry every single year, and just this year we won 2 awards. One is at the Card and Payment Award as a innovative solution of the year. That was awards in London, and also Emerging Payment Awards Best Crypto Spending Solution. That's so you can see that we are very innovative, very reliable, and we have this decent know-how, because we are in the business for 13 years, so even before the whole fintech trend has started. And we basically provide services as a full white label product for banks, neobanks, fintechs, corporate companies, or brands who want to operate and create their own financial ecosystems. So we basically help them to launch accounts, payment trails, payment cards, and apps for their end users. So, and our business model is B2B2C or B2B2B, meaning that we provide services to our client who have their own customer base, and we brand everything as a white label principle under our client name. So, and we give also licenses and technologies for our clients, so we don't need to be a financially regulated institutions themselves. And some of the clients known in this region, the Baltics and the European region, is Paysera, Admiral Markets, Bitpanda, Binance, Change, and others. So we try to work with also innovators in the market. And the landscape during COVID and post-COVID, I would see is that as my colleagues already mentioned, it's a big level of digitalization, but in the finances and payments specifically. And here I would like to take a bit different perspective. It's not about creating more products in the payment area, but it's how to create a different experience for the end users. And during the pandemic, as also Domantas mentioned, that there was shift for the users into digital payments more. So now the users don't expect another digital payment product, but they expect that their experience when using payment product would be very seamless and frictionless. So that's a new expectation by the users evolved during the pandemic. This is what we are witnessing, and as a result of that, what we are seeing in the market, a new trend which is emerging now, it's called embedded finance. So which allows to integrate payment experience, payment solution into a wider proposition of companies' products, so that user have payment as a seamless integration into the offering. And the one more trend which we also witnessing is that digital payments is a way of how to achieve a different user loyalty in the increasing competition. So, for example, by creating your own ecosystem, issuing them accounts and payments and payment cards, for example, it allows to circulate funds within companies' ecosystem. For example, insurance may pay out insurance payments into their own ecosystem, so the users will use the same cash to buy more products from them, and it doesn't leave somewhere else. So that's a big power of loyalty happening right now, and it is only available by having those new type of payment experience for the end users. And I believe that, we are currently witnessing a very exciting times to be in the fintech area, and specifically in payments, because so much investment and innovation is happening here. And it's, if I compare pre-COVID and during COVID and also post-COVID, I think the payment landscape would be very different, and that's a big win for the end users.
Thank you very much. On already seen that the payment space is a really interesting space and exciting space on to watch, because a lot of innovation and consumers' habits are changing. companies are adopting technology at a faster pace. So it's really interesting to see all of this development. I would like to go back to sort of the title that we've got for this session, looking at the potential for payments, so the trends and the future of payments, and then also looking at powering this change. What's behind all of this change? How do we make sure we reach the objectives? And what do we think at the moment is the true potential for payments? And Iridas, if I could go back to you at Contis, you mentioned the idea that payment is part of something else. It's embedded as part of a wider service offering within a wider context. And we're seeing also non-financial players getting into that space, and payments being part of a wider offering. And you already mentioned it just now. So what do you think is the value of it, and how do we manage to make the most of that offering on having payments being integrated in that wider offering? It's not just payments; it's payments being part of a wider offering. Can you delve into a bit more details in that aspect?
Yeah. So, and I think it's a very good thing to go back to the history, how it became so seamless. If I look back years ago, it was cash only, so everyone was using cash, and it was a like regular payment method. If I look 15 years back, just 15 years, not long ago, the digital payments were invented, meaning that even the banks themselves, they started to offer digital payments like via cards or electronic banking, and they were basically measuring the success rate of migrating customers from cash to the digital payments. And there was even the competition among banks, how big percentages customers are using digital payments compared to cash. And in that perspective, it was only about educating the users how to start using digital payments. So what happens now is how to make them a seamless experience. So there is no education as such anymore happening now, because payments are somehow integrated into as an embedded finance, and users don't even think about payments. We don't need even think how this payment is happening. And it applies to both to consumer segment, like via mobile apps, via Apple Pay, Google Pay. So users just somehow make a payment, and they don't have to think that I want to make a payment. How do I do it? Or buy now, pay later service, which also doesn't even show the payment. You just buy the service and you or the good, and you have it. So no payment is clearly visible. Or for business companies, it's integrating directly into their accounting system, for example. So no accountant wants to log into the electronic bank system, input payment, or upload the file and make it going out. So I would say that this is where how it's being possible, because there are more and more concepts in the market, more players, like for example Contis, which provide infrastructure which any company can just plug into their offering, and the payment is already there. So we don't need to think about how to obtain license, how to be regulated, what technologies should they buy or build themselves. You just plug and use it, and that's it. And users just you feel it on a daily basis that there is no payment, but somehow payment is happening. So we don't need to think about that. And one more thing, which is also related, what we are witnessing, payment is also becoming a way how to access liquidity, which not necessarily can be cash, not even euros, for example. If the user is having other kind of liquidity like cryptocurrency or precious metals, nowadays there are technologies which allow instant payment by card, for example, in a shop, and in the back end the conversion happens from cryptocurrency into euros and it goes to the merchant, or gold conversion into euros and it goes to the merchant. So that's even better trend which is evolving right now, how to use payment without having deposited euros or British pounds or other currency in advance. So this is how it is possible, because there are more and more innovation in the infrastructure market.
Thank you very much. Some really great points here about payments being frictionless, but also a lot of things happening on the back end that customers don't necessarily know about, but that's extremely useful for customers, and we can build on top of that. Marsilio, at Sensidia, if I could go back to you, if you could, I don't know if you got some points you want to touch on that were explained by Aridas, but also we mentioned on all the customer experience, frictionless experience, and a lot of it at the moment is being powered by sort of all the mobile payments with less use of cash and more payments being done by digital device. We mentioned digital wallets and cryptocurrencies. And mobile payments were just used for small purchases. And if we look at the UK and London, initially it was on the tube, but now we're seeing mobile payments being used for bigger payments, on the growth of instant payments being used by mobile payments, on the use of digital wallets. So, Marcio, if I could go back to you and say, how do you see the growth of the instant payments method on market going, on digital wallets going in the coming months and years?
I believe it's a new revolution about behavior from, and as our colleague said, that it's not about new products, it's about new experience, sometimes for the same product. But on this payment or the new ways to use these services for mobile payments, the critical point should be how the providers from these payments, the payments companies, have resolved the IT issues from architecture and from connectivity, from scale and secure. So my perception is, if you need to use your IT infrastructure as an innovative differentiator from this game. Everyone is looking for launch the instant payments. As I told them, a WhatsApp Pay, different kind of instant payments or mobile payment. Maybe if you're looking for construct a B2B infrastructure, for instance, it's very relevant to how easy it is to connect for your partners. So here we believe that you have a key concern. It's about developer experience. How you can launch your services to be more to be more pluggable for your partners. It's mandatory to be easy to connect for payment companies through new mobile solutions or partner solutions. It's easy to connect it for Facebook, for LinkedIn, from Twitter. So it's mandatory to be easy to connect my mobile phone or my mobile application from a payment solution from TransferGo, for instance. So how easy is to connect from the services and the solutions? The API strategy should be the key answer. And here we believe that it's mandatory to invest in a digital experience or in a developer experience to be easy to connect from the APIs and services. They have no choice. You need to launch the services from instant payment, to launch your services in different kind of journeys, and the developer experience should be the key issue or differential from how easy it is to use your services. Look, I'm not talking about how easy is the end user will use your solution, but how easy is for your partners to connect in your ecosystems and start to provide services using your payment solution. I would like to put my payment solution from TripAdvisor, Booking, Uber. So how easy is to connect for this your solution? So I believe you need to think that your IT architecture should be the big differentiator for how easy it is to connect your services. The other point is, are you ready to manage your mobile apps, for instance? Because your mobile apps is more relevant than ever to ensure that your services is providing the best user experience. So every mobile app is connected to your IT using APIs. So how mature you are about API management, API security API scale. We are helping some payment companies to be more digital, just helping them to be more mature to manage the IT infrastructure and exposing APIs with a good developer experience and to manage the partner from the ecosystem, the chain of partners, to be more pluggable and easy to use the services through APIs.
Thank you very much. And indeed, some, I think, really interesting points around collaboration we'll go back to later, and also the use of API that we've been in the UK, but also part of the world's using in open banking. Perhaps I could go to you, Dementas, and get your experience at Transfergo. And we've mentioned customer experience, frictionless experience. We mentioned digital transformation, and I think it's all big key points when it comes to cross-border payments. Is how easy it is for customers to send money abroad. And not long ago, people would take cash, bring it to a shop in high street shop, convert it, and then travel with it. And we're a long way from that, thankfully. But it'd be great to hear your thoughts about what the landscape is and what do you think the potential of cross-border payments is. And we mentioned digital wallets, cryptocurrencies, all facilitating trends and things happening in your space. It'd be great to hear your thoughts about the potential of payments in that area.
I agree with everything that gentlemen have said from the backbone perspective. 100%. The reason why Stripe is because they focused on integration engineering firsthand. Absolutely. But I would maybe look at slightly differently. I would say the tradition, like the new guys have been able to create the experiences that were promised by crypto, but never delivered by crypto or blockchain. So right now, we are able to do end-to-end cross-border payment faster than the push notification around that. And the solution is a lot of heavy lifting. It's a lot of boring relationships building, heavy lifting, meaning you go directly to SEPA, you become principal member of SEPA. In some geographies, you go and build your own clearinghouse by partnering with all the banks. Because at the end of it, it's all about last mile. The last mile connectivity has been, and there is no shortcoming around that. It takes years to build, but if you build it, then what you can truly offer is a reliable cross-network experience. Because the point that the panel has made very well is customers do not care how it happens. The experience that they want now is, I want to send money from myself to yourself as I was sending a WhatsApp message. That's the experience. And I don't want to know what's IBAN, what the card number is. I want to send money to you, Hugo. And right now, I don't want to know which challenger bank you are. If you are in Latin America, you'll be with Nubank. If you are in Europe, you're still going to be with a traditional bank because that's where the market is. So the cross-network connectivity, there is no shortcoming around that, and you need to build that. So the solution there is really build alternative clearinghouses. On top of that, that's the answer to offer that solution today, and that solution is ready today, but it hasn't scaled because cash is not dying as quickly as we would like. So and because it's just old habits. So I think that building these clearinghouses, and it's all relationships, it's all risk management, it's a lot of boring stuff that gets to a very interesting consumer outcome, right? So my recommendation is that we need to do more boring and more heavy lifting on the back end, because that will bring superior payments experiences to the customers. And looking forward, what's going to happen is very predictable, because now we have explosion of wallets. Right? Now everybody's building their own version of PayPal. The problem is those wallets don't talk to one another. So it's going to be even worse than it was with banking, because banking at least had SWIFT connection between them. A very broken system, but at least they were able to move money. But how would you move money between different wallets, assuming that the wallet will become more and more popular way? Because people are not attached anymore to, hey, it needs to be a bank and an IBAN. No, it's just a number, and I want to move one number to another number. That's it. But in that experience, the next chapter of boring innovation is going to be identity, because identity is not transferable right now. So I am a registered customer of Transfergo. I can't be a registered customer seamlessly on other products. there is no unified layer of identity. And governments are trying to do bits and pieces around that. But as we had to build the clearinghouses, step by step, we will need to build unified identity layers step by step. And I think that's going to be a necessary precondition for us to truly move into a seamless, unified wallet-to-wallet experience. As I think no one in this panel would disagree about the fact that wallets are becoming dominant region by region, and there's no going backwards from wallets. Wallets will be very important. But in that world, how do you really solve that wallet-to-wallet connectivity? Right. That's really what I think the next step in building the proper cross-network payments. Because again, you want me to send money to you as I was sending money to you in your WhatsApp, as I was sending information to you on WhatsApp, right? So, identity is something that we should be talking more. I would strongly encourage innovation to happen, less about building another banking as a service provider or, embedded finance, as we have plenty of good guys like Contis and other guys. But the next innovation is really about how do you bridge identity and how do you bridge wallet-to-wallet communication. I would sort of think more about that.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Before, you already touched on a lot of great points around connectivity, collaboration, interoperability, identity, and I would like to go back to some of those points. Before moving to that part of the panel, if I could go back to each panelist to close that sort of potential part of payments. If in 1 minute each panelist could tell me what do you think is the potential of payments? Is it just at the moment making payments cheaper, faster, or we mentioned customer experience? What do you think is the potential of payments? What can we tap into that we've not made the most out of in terms of payments? If in 1 minute you can tell me that, I'll start with Eridas at Contis. What's the potential of payments in 1 minute?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. Yeah, how to summarize this? So I think the potential is how to still make them seamless and frictionless. That's the biggest potential. So if they stay or become and stay seamless and frictionless, then they will unleash their potential and they will be used on a daily life. And here I would say the fintech players plays a very good role because they introduce new ways how to make payments and how to ensure them seamless compared to the incumbent banks who are still trying to present payment as a product and where user logins to the app or to the portal and decides to make a payment and enter the details. Sometimes a lot of fields where users don't even have idea what they means, but it's a kind of product in the banks yet. And fintechs try to bring this new way of using the payments, and that's the biggest potential in my mind.
Perfect. I really like this idea that payment is not just a product. It needs to be frictionless, and it shouldn't be sold as a product and something which is take a long time. And in a way, we shouldn't think of payments, or customers shouldn't really think of payments. They should just use it on embrace innovation. Would have to think of payments as a separate product. Marcelio, can I go to you? Would it be the same thing? It's all about frictionless customer experience, or would you like to highlight something else?
Yes, just reinforcing that the mission here from that we are involved on, it's exactly or precisely to help payments providers to offer their services in a transparent way. You can use this services in a transparent way without know how the things is working. Has our colleague done. I would like to transfer my money for your account using WhatsApp or every new instant message that is coming. How easy is to do it? The question is how many payment companies are ready to insert their services on this journey, and how are you going to do it? So I strongly believe that the payment will be a part of every digital journey, using different experience in a totally transparent way. I would like to transfer my money without know that I'm transferring money with what kind of solution I'm using. I'm just would like to transfer money. So it's very relevant to insert the services from payment in different kind of platforms. we are using a lot WhatsApp, but we can think about different kind of digital platforms that can be used to transfer money or to insert payment services. In next future, I strongly believe that we're starting to use different kind of payment services without know what kind of provider that we are using, just using the digital platform that we are using in for other kind of tasks, to talk with people, to send photos, to send documents, to sign documents, and to transfer money or to pay something. So I'm very enthusiastic about how easy and seamless is how easy is to use this payment services, and just to the IT infrastructure or the positioning for your IT strategy will be key to be the payment companies well positioned in this new way to competitive landscape. How easy is to connect it to your services, to provide your services in a different journeys for the end user use your services without know that they are using your services, just using the usual platforms. There is no choice to position the payment companies. The most relevant companies, I believe, will be that one will be ready to use without know that they are using a payment company, just using the natural application or natural journeys that we are using for other tasks.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And I think transparency, integration, I think that's something that resonates with you at Dementas. I think in terms of cross-border payments, there's been a lot of chat and talk about the fees, the intentions fee is not transparent. I don't know how much I'm actually paying, the cost of transferring the money, what I'm paying for and what. So I guess this theme around transparency is resonates with you, but perhaps you want to build on what Rita said around sort of seamless experience. But yeah, what would be your pick, Dementas?
It's coming from the same reasons why it's not frictionless today, and these are very boring reasons. We live in a world of terrorist financing. We live in a world of fraud, and for a customer not to know which company they're using, there needs to be a lot of very smart identity management on the back end to make sure, because at the end of the day, someone will always need to be accountable for those risks. It's not photo sharing, and it will never be, because we live in a world with various realities, and 9/11 was financed by 20,000 pounds of transactions. So this is the world we live in. Now, how do you build a perfect solution in an imperfect world? And that's really the identity piece. And even when you look right now, we always imagine that people hold money in the wallet, which is the custodial wallet. It means that there is a licensed entity that sits behind and takes some of that risk, and then you manage the transition. Like, how could you even begin to think about the world of non-custodial wallets, which someone has a wallet that's equivalent of your back pocket? You have some currency there. It can be fiat, can be not fiat. How do you move it from custodial to non-custodial and backwards? That's the real friction. But regulator is so far away from there, and the reality of the market is so far away that there needs to be a very significant innovations, identity, risk management, and KYC. Again, very boring compliance things that we need to resolve before this could even become to be a reality. And coming back to the WhatsApp question, the reason why payments are not moving on WhatsApp, at least in Europe, is because Facebook has tried to do payments many, many times and backed out every single time. The last attempt was Libra failure, when they, they can barely manage data, and now they do want to do banking. Like, guess what? The regulator said very, very much no, right? So we need to also understand that for the frictionless experience to happen, it needs to address these structural problems. And probably it's not going to be Facebook who's going to be able to build that seamless experience. It needs to be Facebook who's working with a third party like PayPal or some of the new guys in Block who are able to figure out scalable compliance. As that's really where the problem is, because Facebook in theory, would have all the capital and all the resources in the world to build it, but they're not a payments company, and they will never be a payments company. They are, whatever they are, data, right? So I think this innovation is very difficult at this point, because it requires, first of all, regulators to really reinvent how they look at risk, and they need to be moving much faster. And Lithuania is a good example because the regulator is quite progressive, but that's not they're not even there yet themselves. So I think we need to talk more about the identity and compliance to enable the experience, which I agree with the colleagues that must happen, and that's really the future.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And again, some great points on. If we go back to the title of the session for today, the potential aspect, but indeed, how do we power the potential of payments on Demontas? And our panelists have raised some good points around making sure we've got the right data integration, we've got the right backend infrastructure, and we've got security and fraud secured and nailed. I saw, Aridas, at Contis, you were nodding at some of the points made by Demontas around identity, on KYC. Is it something that resonates with you and your company?
Yeah, that's exactly it. We do, and Domantas touched a very good point. That there's someone is always is reliable, and it's not a shared responsibility in case if something goes wrong, and that is why. That is why I agree with Domantas that Facebook is still not being able to launch payment products. It's not as easy as people may think so. And I'm personally also speaking quite a lot with co-founders of the new businesses who wants to enter payment area, and they speak, for example, to me as with Contis, how we can help them. And I always try to challenge them if it's not an easy business, and they'll have to be compliant. They'll have to make sure they know who is transacting in this ecosystem, and that's where the power of banking as a service providers came here, because they are super focused on this area. For example, in Contis, we provide all the infrastructure, we provide financial licenses when we serve our customers, and we take care of those things. We make sure that there is no terrorist financing going through the system. We make sure that everything is controlled and meeting the regulatory requirements, at least as much as it's regulated in Europe. And Europe is has one of the strongest regulatory requirements. And sometimes companies which trying to enter specifically from Asian region we want to enter Europe. We don't understand the requirements, because in Asia it's much more flexible than in Europe. And in Europe it's very regulated. And I agree with Domantas that Bank of Lithuania as a regulator, we are also trying to be closer and closer to the regulated entities in the market, and they pay a lot of attention on the KYC things and on compliance things in general. So we want to make sure there's nothing bad happening through Lithuania and essentially across the Europe through the entity. Yeah. So I fully agree.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And perhaps now I can go back to Marsilio at Sensidia. Marsilio, you mentioned the importance of collaboration and technology, obviously data integration, on API, which an API is powering open banking, open finance. We're looking at open data and open insurance. So what's the importance of technology behind all of these initiatives, and what do you want to see come out of collaboration within the industry in the coming months on years events of payments, and how do we leverage the power of the fintech coming up and some of the incumbents? How do you see it play out, and what do you want to see in the industry, Marsilio?
Oh, thank you. This open banking, it's a good example. It's a big wave that we are facing on. Just to point about the not knowing which kind of payment we are using. I was extremely. It's more, but my point is the experience may be more related to a third-party app than the payment providers. The user experience is more related to the mobile application that we are using than the providers. But obviously, in any point, you need to know to consent, etc. And back into open banking scenario, it's exactly this point. It's a big wave from open everything that we are facing on, from open banking, open insurance. Some countries are regulating, or some regions like Europe, the PSD2, etc. Other regions on the world, like Mexico, Brazil, they are working with regulating scenarios. And on America and US, they are moving to bank as a services and open banking without regulation. But the point is, the banking and the payment solution, the insurance companies are they need to look for open some specific data to be more transparent to access these data through APIs. At the end, I can choose application that I would love to use to search and to understand my banking data. So I can use different bankings through a third-party app without necessarily know or choose what bank I'm using. I'm just choosing the best tax or the best products using a third-party app. So my experience is related to the app, not to the bank, because I'm just using the APIs, open API for these banks. We have more 25 big banks using our solutions in an open banking scenario to open data with. So we have non-functional questions here that we need to resolve, like security, authorization services, consent management. We need to consent a third app to use your data for this bank. Scalability, control management, etc. Your asset governance. So a different kind of non-functional IT question you need to resolve in an open banking scenario. But the key is, once I opened my data, my APIs, how can I use this to be more innovative, to be more digital, and to offer my services in different kind of platforms, to reach different kind of publics? How can I put my new products available in a short time through APIs? We are facing different kind of challenges for business challenges and technical challenges for open banking, the open finance scenarios at all. We are not specialized in business cash question. Sensidia is not helping its customers to think what will be the next wave from payments or the new products. We are not able to help on this. Our mission is to help. Once you have a vision for what kind of products are you looking to launch, what kind of innovation would you like to launch, our mission is to enable your IT infrastructure to be ready to expose these data with security, scalability, and control. This is our true mission. We are not here to think that, my suggestion is you need to move for this kind of payments. No, it's your business. You are more specialized than us, but we are here to help your IT infrastructure to be ready to support this movement. This is what we are doing. And thank you for bringing to the table the open banking scenarios, because this is a big movement around the world. We have faced it in Europe. We are looking for in some Latin America companies, but it's a worldwide movement.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Marcelo. Indeed, let's call it open data. It's called smart data in the UK. It's really fascinating. A lot of stuff happening in Australia with the CDR, in India and the India stack, Canada and the US. And I think a lot of the question that you raised here will go back to some of the points Demantas raised around digital ID or authentication management, to be able to have consumers in charge of the data and manage that authentication on identity around that. I think we've had a really quite and fascinating session. We're coming to an end. I will just ask our speakers in under 2 minutes to tell us what do they think will be the game changer in the payments industry to come, and to tell us what's to come from their company. So probably I can start with you, Demantas. What's to come? What's the big changer in the industry, and what's to come from your organization in under 2 minutes, please?
Um, I see many new entrants trying to position as a super app, the storefront for various financial services. Only outside of China, this hasn't really worked out to a large extent, and in China, it worked out for partly, governmental situation. So I think that industry-wise, I'm very interested to see who will figure out the transferable identity piece to be able to build actual marketplace of services. Because today I see Highlander models, which is I'm going to build everything myself. I'm going to partner with someone until I understand their business model, and I'm going to go out and build it my own. Well, this has been done before. It's called traditional banking, and that hasn't worked well from a consumer side. So my industry hope is that we'll see more marketplaces emerge. And for us, we are very much in the payments. We want to become the best way to pay. So we want to make sure that we deliver the Square Cash type experience in Europe, and build hopefully a marketplace model on top of that. So that's what we are striving to do, and to delight the migrant segment, which needs slightly different financial services to what you and me sometimes need. When you migrate abroad, even an access to a financial service can become a problem in your localized language, et cetera, et cetera. So there's also a segment thesis around the next wave of financial services.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Can I go to you, Arvidas, at Contis? What's to come from you at Contis? And perhaps one thing about what would be a game changer in the industry, briefly. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So at Contis, we continue to innovate, and what we have been doing the last 13 years. So we still continue to do so. We continue to increase the functionality based on the newest trends in the market and the newest products. And in such a way, we help new players to enter the market, especially on embedded finance aspect, so that anyone who is willing to launch their own payment ecosystem, they can use Contis and they can launch it quickly. And here comes a reliability question item, and I would like to stress that since there is a new trend going in the market, especially in Europe, there are quite a lot of new players also on infrastructure side, which is appearing to help to develop everything. But I would like to stress that there is quite a lot of smoke going on, and in quite a lot of cases, the new players, they just want to be in this market, but they still don't know how to do things properly, how to be reliable, how to meet all the regulatory requirements. And sometimes we are seeing that those players try to learn together with their customers they're trying to help. And this is a very dangerous game, because payment is industry specifically key thing is reliability. So no user or no business would like their payment to fail due to whatever reason, because that will be noticed immediately. And so this reliability is very key in the market. And so my advice is to choose to make your own due diligence when expanding network of partners. And I think that the trend for the whole, answering the second question, the trend for the whole payment market, what needs to be happening to be different, I think all the new initiatives which we are witnessing at the moment on the payment space, like open anything, as it was very good named, or say like our things like SEPA Instant, for example, which is like several years in the market, it's still yet to prove itself, because when I see from a user, it's usually something is not working. For example, if I try to use open banking for my payment experience, usually there's something not connecting, not working. It's still in the early stage, and I'm very frustrated when if I am somewhere in the street trying to pay for parking, for example, and something is not working, so I have to spend time there. So it's still in the early stage, and I think it has to be credible, become more credible, more trustful, and in order to become a dominant game changer in the market. And or for example, SEPA Instant, where not all the banks are connected or payment players are connected to SEPA Instant. So I can't send SEPA Instant to anyone, because some players are not connected, they can't receive SEPA Instant. And the final thing is, I think that is the reason why the most convenient and reliable way to date is still payment cards, like because they are globally accepted, they are very reliable, and very instant. So that's why they never go out of the market, and they just evolve and add more functionality and more user experience. So I would say the game changer, if we want to change the market to with something else, it has to prove itself first, and a lot of more investments and user testing needs to be done in order to be in different area, in different way.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And before coming to close, I'll go to you, Marsilio. If you could briefly tell us what's to come from you and perhaps a game changer from the industry.
Yes. So I'm infrastructure technical guy here. So my vision and perspective, it's all about this kind of positioning. In my perception, the game change it's to construct ecosystems, to be ready to in a part of our ecosystem, to provide the right services, and not about services but the reputation, the branding, to be more sexy and to be ready to connect on the ecosystems, to be a part of a central from ecosystem. You will work with ecosystems. You need to choose if you are just connected for someone or a center from ecosystems. For me, this is a game changer.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, our speakers. I hope you enjoyed the session. I learned a lot. Do connect with us. Do connect with our speakers. Interact with us. And look forward to bring the conversation forward and power the potential of payments. Thank you very much.
Hugo, thank you very much for the moderation today. I got a few thoughts coming from the discussion here. We talked about the potential. We need frictionless payment. We need deep integrations. That seemed to be a big factor. But to my mind, it all comes down to identity and how hard of a problem identity really is to solve. Can you tell us some of your thoughts about that? Because it doesn't seem easy.
Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting point that was picked up during the conversation, because when you talk about payments, you won't necessarily thought about identity, but actually identity is a big part of payments, to understand who you're paying, who is paying you, and it's a really key part and key component of payments. And a lot of work being done across the globe to understand that aspect and to make sure the payment is secure and we know who we're paying and we know who's paying us. And it's a tricky part because across the globe, different countries got different regulations. Some countries, like the UK, don't have an ID card. So this is a really complex issue and difficult to manage for some governments. But this is a key component of payments. But also we talked during the conversation about payments being part of a global, wider offering. It's not just payments, it's integration of payments with other services. And therefore, it's really key to nail the identity part of payments, but also within financial services as a global industry. So it was a really key point was picked up during the conversation, and looking forward to seeing what comes out later.
Right. And another point that I picked up on was more boring, which is something that we haven't heard very much during the fintech. Usually people want to talk about, this is fancy, this is growth, this is great. And I really like that perspective of, you know what we need to do? Boring engineering work. What are your feelings?
I thought it was, again, an interesting point raised during the panel session. I don't think it's necessarily boring stuff, but indeed, you can talk about all the fancy stuff, but at the end of the day, you need the technology to work. You need people in place that have the capabilities and the skills to run the show. So you can talk about all the fancy stuff, all the new innovation, but at the end of the day, it comes to, is it secure? Do we have the right skills? Do we have the right capabilities in place to power the potential of payments, to come back to the title of the sessions? So I think indeed we need the boring stuff, but it needs to be done, because otherwise we can't move the discussion forward. So I think it was a really key point to be raised during the panel discussion.
Indeed. Okay, Hugo, thank you very much for your moderation today, and thank you for everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed that session. We're going to move on with the next one.